So personally, I'm pretty excited tonight. We haven't had a hardcore DevOps talk in a long time. And our first speaker, Paul, I've actually known for over 20 years. I've heard, and not from him, that his company has one of the best DevOps practices in Canada. So again, not from him. I've heard from other people who've worked there and worked with him that they do a phenomenal job in the DevOps area. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have him talk to us tonight about it. And it's something he's very passionate about. So I think that's a good winning combination for us there. So without more of me talking, I'm going to pass things over to Paul. I think we just got to set up his PowerPoint, but we'll get Paul started. So thank you all for coming. And
welcome tonight. Thank you for making the time. It's a beautiful October evening, and you all took time out of your busy schedules and days to spend time with us. And I think it's awesome that you do that. I think that we're all in IT. I started as a developer, and it's a never-ending learning opportunity to be in tech. So I think taking the time to invest in yourselves and your careers is a really smart thing to do. So hats off to everybody here. As Jonathan mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Software Engineering at SPS Commerce Canada. We are in Canada about 60 people, 70 people in the Toronto office, and about 1,400 people globally. We own and run the world's largest retail network of suppliers and retailers. We transact about $2 trillion of e-commerce every year. The e-commerce and the internet would literally shut down if we blew up. It is pretty serious stuff we do. If you name a retailer, we probably supply product or facilitate the supplying of product to them. So it's important that our systems stay online and available at all times. So we have embraced DevOps in a big way and Agile in a big way. I think the two things go together, but what doesn't go together is this remote and the slide deck. Okay. Which one am I doing? Oh, the down arrow. Okay, there we go. Oh, there we go. So I do believe that Agile and DevOps work really well together. If you are not an Agile shop, reach out to me and we'll talk. But if you are, great, well done. DevOps is the next best evolution for you and your business, I assure you. So success criteria for tonight. When I thought about what I want to leave you with, I sort of thought, well, what do you need to know when I leave? And if I do these 4 or 5 things, then I'm going to have done my job well. So I want you to be able to understand some of the benefits that can be realized by DevOps. No, I'll go right now. And that you gain some confidence that this is absolutely doable. You'll leave with some practical tips on how to successfully implement this in your shops. And you'll have my contact information. If you want to reach out, I welcome your contacts. You can certainly reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to make acquaintances and share. I think this industry is a great industry to be in if you want to share information. I want to do a little bit of myth busting about what DevOps is not. It's not a title. If you're a DevOps engineer, I don't think you're doing it right. If you're on the DevOps team, again, you're probably not doing it right. If your idea of DevOps is let's just put dev and ops under one leader, probably not doing it right. If you have the new DevOps tool, which is going to take you there, you're not doing it right. If you think DevOps is just automation, again, probably not doing it right. And lastly, there's no silver bullets in this cultural movement. So a little bit more about who I am. I breeze through here. So I live in Barrie. I'm an hour and a half north of here. So I do try to make time for friends and family. I do have lots of interests. I've been very fortunate to have a great career and working for some great companies. I consulted for many years. As Jonathan pointed out, he placed me at a bunch of these places as well. I work for SPS Commerce. They are a great company to work for, and I am very passionate about Agile and DevOps. So that's why I'm here tonight, is to share some of our learnings. So this is how I define it. DevOps is realized when operational requirements are built into the software delivery lifecycle. It's a cultural shift, not a checklist. If you run into people and say, oh yeah, we do DevOps, It's like, it's not something you do, it's something you embrace, it's something you feel and live with every single day. This is from the one of some of the industry learnings around DevOps, and this is why we do this. So 46 times more frequent code deployments. That's absolutely true. I have some stats on how we deploy later on. We deploy a lot. 2,500 times faster lead time commit to deploy. That means as you check in code, how fast can you get it into prod? Oops. 7 times lower change failure rate, and 2,600 times faster time to recover from incidents. And that's because we take a roll forward policy as much as possible. Rather than roll back if something fails, let's find it, fix it, deploy it, and get it out in an hour. That's way faster than pulling everything back, undoing everything you did, figuring it out, and then redeploying. Oops, all around ways. I thought this was an interesting statistic to see who it is embracing DevOps. And what you find is it's actually the companies that are small who are trying to compete in the industry, and actually some of the biggest companies in the $1 to $10 billion range. And I feel that's the case because a lot of these bigger companies are starting to retool. They're starting to rebuild. They're starting to have to reinvent themselves. They're retiring old systems and embracing the new. So that's why they're doing it. They've got the deep pockets, and that's why they're investing. And that's why you actually see things like big insurance companies, banks, even governments adopting practices that actually make them interesting places to work again, because that wasn't always the case. Many are getting stuck along the way. There's lots of reasons why they get stuck, but a lot of it comes to lack of the ability to embrace the culture in a complete way. We can talk more about that. I had great notes, and if I could see them, I'd tell you all about it up there. And it's an evolution. So you will get positive results just by starting. And you will continue to get positive results as you evolve. But the end goal is constantly shifting. What was well understood a year or 2 years ago has been evolving ever since to embrace a lot more of the security practices and building those in as well, than implementation practices. Empowering product teams to do better and more. So it is a constant shifting of evolution, and that's why it's a cultural movement. It's not something you will ever achieve or finish. It is just a continuum you will always be on. The names have changed over time: DevOps, DevSecOps, Prod DevSecOps, Prod DevSecOps Amp, but it's all just DevOps. So we're not going to add new 3-letter acronyms onto the thing and end up with a 49-letter acronym. Let's just call it DevOps and be done with it. So I want to talk about some of the pain that we've experienced at SPS Commerce. We used to have it was a huge effort to deploy anything. Sometimes taking up to a full sprint just to deploy product. That's from a whole sprint team. And try, fail, no value received by the business for all of that effort. We saw the subsequent velocity decrease. If I define velocity as the ability to deliver features to production, well, we're not building features, we're trying to deploy the old features. We had pissed off customers. We had customers where it would literally, we'd find a bug, and it would take 15 minutes to fix the bug, and then we'd sit and say, I can't afford to spend 3 days deploying it. We'll have to wait until there's more things to fix, and then we'll big bang it and move it all out. And it was just not working for our customer base. And we have some of the biggest customers in the world. Every brand you know, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Canadian Tire, everybody you know is probably a customer of ours. We have 80,000 manufacturers and retailers in our ecosystem that trade products. So it's everybody, and they're all pissed off at us. Deployments had to happen after hours and on weekends, made for not really super happy developers because they had to put their personal lives on hold at service to the company. And we had many failed deployments. Because everything was manual, we had to pull it all together, try it, failed, we forgot something, we hand-bombed something to try to make it work. That never made it way back into source control, and it would fail the same way the next time. So what were our goals? We wanted to deploy on demand. We wanted to be able to push it out anytime we wanted. We want our product managers to be able to push out deployments if we could. We want to make sure developers had no access to higher environments like stage and prod. No access whatsoever, which means everything had to be part of our deployment. We wanted a humane work environment we could deploy during the day and not have to have people working at nights and weekends if we didn't have to. We wanted to recapture that lost velocity that we'd given away for no value, and we wanted to reduce our costs along the way. I want to talk a little bit about about the DevOps evolution, and along the way I'll cover where we're at. But if you want to embrace this, and I'm happy to share this slide deck after if anybody's interested, but you need to build a foundation with monitoring, alerting, pattern reuse, and configuration management so you can set yourself up for future successes. Then you're going to normalize. You're going to make sure everything is in source control, including all of your infrastructure as a service code, everything, all your configs, everything is in source control. And we're going to standardize on a set of OSs. Then you're going to standardize. You're going to pick a single OS. For us, it was Linux. Even though we're a .NET shop, we moved everything to .NET Core, and we moved on to Linux. Then we started doing Java packages, and we deployed those into the same containers. And we settled on our tech stack for each product. Not, as I said, we're a .NET and Java shop. We don't mix and match within a particular service or anything, but any service can be written in one of our languages. Then comes expansion, reusable build-deploy pipelines, and multiple environment build-deploy pipelines. So in other words, we're going to use our build-deploy pipelines, which is our CI/CD, continual integration, continual deployment, continual testing, and we're going to use that to roll from one environment to the next environment to the next, so that no human hands really ever touch it. Then comes infrastructure as a service automation. This is where we use automation to automatically build out all of our environments every single time whenever we start deploying to a new set of servers or whatever. If a server starts failing, we just kill it, shoot it in the head, and just pop up a new one. We don't have to worry about having what we call pets. That's an industry term, pets and cattle. Pets are servers that you care about, that if this one goes down, we're screwed. You don't want that. You want to have what we call cattle. You don't name cattle, they just pop up, they do their function, and then they shut them back down again. So that's how we moved into the automation. So that's provisioning, and then everything is code. That's all your sysconfigs, your app configs, your secrets, everything is configuration based. And lastly is autonomy and security. So automation of your incident responses and security as a first-class citizen. That is, right now, kind of the cornucopia. If ever you can get to there, you're doing a great job. Incidentally, that's where we are today. So you can see where our journey is going to be taking us. If you want to go down this road, here are my belief, the must-haves. Please be agile. Again, it's a great journey to go along. Being able to work in increments and package things up every couple of weeks is a great pattern. You have to have a mature product manager. We had the opportunity to have one of the best product managers I ever had, and he was mature enough to understand that non-feature development is a feature. That the ability to meet SLAs, to be performant, was an important part of our ability to deliver code that people were proud of and happy to have serve up. Recognition that operational concerns are a feature, as I said. You need strong technical leadership. We have some of the best technical minds I've ever worked with. And these are the people who are laying down the patterns for our build-deploy pipelines, who are taking the opportunity to learn and grow and invest in those technologies. And finally, functional technology leadership. So myself included, and my partners that I work with. So Amy is my counterpart on the operations side, and a better partner I could not ask for. She and I together drive the culture down that our teams have to work together in order to build and maintain our systems. And this was a really important one. It's team working agreements between development and operations to understand what's my responsibility, what's your responsibility, and what do we collaborate on. Those are important things to decide on and agree upon so that there's no surprises along the way. And when you do that, what you end up with is a partnership and people that you can actually lean on for help. So our key inflection points. The team owns the quality of the solution. We did something drastic, but important, and that was we ended up dissolving our QA team. We put the onus of quality onto the development teams themselves. There's no more flipping crappy code over the wall to testers to test and return and all the rest. This goes hand in hand with supporting and owning the applications. If you write crappy code, you're going to be the ones that are supporting it. The leadership, lead the settings of expectations of a culture. As I said, this is a cultural movement, I believe, and it is reliant upon having leadership understand that it's not just a tool you buy, as I said, or some automation that you do. This is a culture movement, and have to have executive support for that. And then very quickly, we turned it over to the team to define what exactly does excellence mean to them. Because I can tell them all day long what's important and what I want, but what I found was far more palatable was for me to say, this is the end result of what I want. How do you suppose we get there? And everybody had opinions. And then everybody comes up with what exactly does that mean for us moving forward. And that led to us deciding on a new definition of done, which included having BDP or build deploy pipeline for every single product. Nothing goes out by hand, everything is that way. But many other things came out of what excellence means to our teams. And we own what we build through the life cycle. That means developers are on call. That means developers have to fix and support and deploy everything that they do. They have to think about the architecture from a cost structure, from a reliability and resiliency and scalability perspective. It is on the teams to decide those things. Collaboration with the product manager up front to define what those operational needs are. So again, it's that collaboration between product and dev and operations to define how it is that the experience should be for the end users, and what should they expect from our systems. Should it decrease performance under load, or should it not? Is it okay to be a little bit slower, or is it not? So those are the things that, with a mature product management team, we can achieve. Adopting tools and processes to support the journey. We leave this up to the teams for the most part. What is it going to do, or what do we need to be successful in these areas? And quarterly, we repeat and review all of the above. This is where we found the important points along the way. You may find other points that you need along the way too, but this was a pretty good list for us. Process and culture and process changes that came along the way. I know I'm talking fast, but I only got 10 minutes and I jammed a lot in. So everything is code and is source control. That is super important. If it is important to your system, then it's important enough to be source controlled. If you're unsure whether or not it should be in source control, it should be in source control. Several environments are set up. So again, depending on your needs, we have different needs for different systems. Some we go from dev to prod, others dev test to edge prod, whatever it is that you need, but those setups are all happening through automation. And creation of a BDP or build deploy pipeline for every product and service. Continuous integration, deployment, and testing, I think is an important step to ensure that we have the resiliency and that quality that we expect from our development teams. I touched on this a little bit already. Everything for us is in containers. There's no pets. If a server is failing and not doing well, we kill it and we'll stand up another one automatically. Blue-green deployments. This was a really good pattern for us. We have huge databases, multi-terabyte, very difficult to obviously stand up during the day, but by using blue-green deployment or having our stage and prod as a mirror of each other, we could stand up our database configs on one, load all the data, and then when we're ready to do it, we just flip one to the other, and one becomes hot, one becomes cold. So that's how we were able to do safe daytime deploys. Feature flagging. If you haven't heard about this, it's a great part of our ability to roll out features into production. What it means is you can take a set of code and wrap it up into a flag and basically say, this code is part of this particular feature, turn it off. So I can deploy that code to production and it's off, no one's gonna see it. But when our product manager wants to turn that feature on, he can just go in, or he or she can just go in, flip the switch, and now that feature is available. Doesn't need a deployment, doesn't need any involvement from tech whatsoever. That is a huge win for us. Monitor everything. I was in Jamaica when I wrote this. Monitor every team.
It was on purpose, right?
What's that?
It was on purpose. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just testing us.
Yes, exactly. Seriously, we monitor everything. We use Sumo Logic Monitor, Cloud Health, 2 or 3 other ones, and those are the things which allow us to dive in quickly to find out where our problems are and respond very quickly as well. When you've got a microservice environment, you know, when data is going from service to service to service, if you can't track that through, you're in a world of hurt. As I said, everyone's on call. That was a tough one for us. Everybody didn't want to be on call, but what it forced is people to think that, well, if I don't want to be called, I better write good code, I better test it well, I better make sure it's resilient. And what we found is that our teams were self-healing, that they wrote good code, they called out tech debt, they forced the product managers to put in those change requests so that they didn't have to work nights and weekends. And we have a policy, it's not 100%, but we don't want to get called on the same thing twice is what we're hoping for. And as I said, we are a .NET and a Java shop. We deploy everything to Linux. Moving to .NET Core was amazing for us, so highly suggest it again. Some tools that I would put in your belt. GitHub is great for us. Again, it's the industry standard, so everything should be in source control. Azure DevOps is a Microsoft product. It is what we use for our build deploy pipeline. It's what facilitates our CI/CD/CT, but it also works for Java. It's language agnostic, so whether it's Python or Go or whatever you've got, you can deploy it through here. Launch Darkly is our feature flagging product. Really great tool to use. Chef is what we use for configuration management to build up and destroy servers and making sure that we're moving things into containers in a very consistent way every single time. Logic Monitor is what we use for a lot of our monitoring. It's our lower cost product that we can dump terabytes and petabytes of data into. And PagerDuty is what we use for all of our on-call rotations. There's 100 tools you can use, but these are the ones that we use. So I pulled this together today. I want to see, well, I'm talking about DevOps. I'm talking about how we're going to be able to deploy more frequently. Well, how does it look for us? You know, and this is actually the first time I pulled it together. This is the number of deployments we've had over the last 2 years. We peaked in July at 1,150 deployments in that month. This is a team of about 25 people on this one product team. We are deploying multiple times a day. It doesn't mean it's going to prod every single time. This is all our environments, but this is the habit that we have created for ourselves. Conclusion? Just start. I promise you, your devs will appreciate it. They will embrace it. It's a great cultural movement to join. And it's so much more than automation. A lot of people will tell you, oh yeah, we do DevOps, we automate. And it's like, it's so much more than that. It won't work. One of the reasons companies fail at DevOps is that they think it's about tools. It's not. It's about people. And if you can't get your people behind it, it won't work. And what's next for us? It's really improving our security posture. It's moving into that next level, bringing security as a first-class citizen into our build-deploy pipelines, and making sure that all of our servers are instrumented correctly and all of our automation works. And finally, the State of DevOps report is a really great resource for you. I would encourage you to download that. It talks about where we are in the world of DevOps, and Accelerate's a great book as well. The reason I like it is you've got Nicole Forsgren is a PhD. Her background is not in tech ops. It's actually in research, or DevOps. It's in research. She's a research fellow. This is what she does for a living. She's a math person. And then you got Jez Humble and Gene Kim, who are huge in the Agile and DevOps community. They all came together to say, can we look at this in a scientific way to build software and deploy software? And that's what they've done, and it's a really great book. This is my contact information. Again, feel free to reach out or grab a card from me if you want any more information. And thank you for your time. Any questions I can answer? Yeah.
So this not keeping servers as a pet,
Yes.
what if your server is not one of those servers you can just sort of spin up? You sort of have to, like a SharePoint server, right? It's a little more difficult to just spin one up and get it running.
It is more difficult, but we have actually a MicroStrategy environment as part of one of our offerings, and we're just completing the whole automation of spinning up all of our, not just servers, but clusters, being able to kill a cluster, stand up a new cluster. It can be done through automation, through the APIs that are supplied. It's not easy. Like, none of this is easy, I promise you, and it's not feature development, so it's going to seem like a lot of churn and not a lot of value. But it's absolutely doable. I'm yet to meet the server that you couldn't do this way. The only ones I would probably say would be your AD server. It would probably be something I wouldn't know how to automate that or feel comfortable automating that everything would propagate through it. Probably clustering that would be better. But absolutely getting rid of pets is a big part of embracing DevOps.
I think we're going to do maybe 2 or 3 questions total and then move on, and at the end we can do more, but go ahead
Sure.
if there's 1 or 2 more.
Why are you choosing to use Azure DevOps instead of AWS DevOps or GitLabs or any other options that are out there?
So first of all, it was free. So we're a Microsoft shop, Microsoft partners. We buy the licenses for Visual Studio, and with that comes free licenses for it. But more than that, it is such a huge community of people investing back in. So you can pull down packages to help you, and it's very easy to get spun up. There's a huge community of support around it, and it's very scalable. We have several build servers that we can spin up and deploy when needed. So there's one other. No? Okay, here, I'll pass it.
Awesome. Thank you.